Hello solo leveling fans and welcome back to a new video. Real quick before we get started, I wanted to shout out today's comment of the video, and it's this one right here. If you guys haven't checked out my Gogenhi kit leak, go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link to it in the comments down below, or you can go ahead and check it out on the channel. But with that being said, guys, if you enjoy this kind of videos, please don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. And without any further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Now, we are going to be covering Hanseme's kit right here. She is definitely in my opinion, she's a lot better than what we were expecting, because she has a lot to offer, and she definitely is going to be a great important unit when it comes down to your wind hunters, and we'll get to why in just a second. Now, starting off with her basic attack. Straight up, we know that she's going to be scaling off her max HP, because it's going to be her damage number is going to be a number of her maximum HP, and she's going to live true to the supports, things like Min and Mei Lin. They also stack off HP, so she's going to follow the same path here, scaling off of HP. Inflicts wind attribute elemental damage, and there you have it. That's the wind typing that we already knew about. Now, her core attack is going to be also again a number of her maximum HP, inflicting wind attribute elemental damage, and airborne effect when it comes down to her core attack. Now, the first skill is where things get interesting, because as you can see here, again, it's a number of maximum HP, but this time it inflicts airborne upon hit and applies a health recovery effect upon use. Now, this is going to be interesting, because as you can see here, it heals the entire team continuously for a percentage of Hanseme's maximum health per second for an unknown duration. Now, healing the whole team as in general is very strong, because I don't think we have anybody so far that can heal the whole team continuously at the same time. Like, sure, you had people like Juhi, who can place an ore on the ground, and you had to switch between your teammates, but healing the whole team at the same time is actually crazy when it comes down to Hanseme here. Now, the second skill is going to be again she scales off of HP, and I'm not going to repeat that too many times now. Again, wind attribute, airborne effect, and then restores a number of mana to wind attribute teammates upon use. Now, notice that it says mana to wind attribute. It doesn't say the whole team, it just says to the wind attribute teammates upon use, and then continuously applies a zone effect while inside the protective zone, and the protective zone lasts for 15 seconds. Now, the zone effect they were talking about here, it recovers mana per certain duration and applies a shield effect equal to a percentage of Hanseme's maximum health per certain duration. So I'm curious here to see what was going on. So is she gonna only restore mana to only the wind attribute hunters, or is it also to other hunters if they are in the zone effect? But I think so far it is said to be to the wind attribute teammates, and I'm assuming people like Wu Jinchul and obviously Amamiya Meiri are probably going to be the most benefactors of that. Holy moly, I can't speak. So yeah, I think they will definitely be the most two people that benefit a lot from that ability right there. Now, her support skill again scales off max HP, dealing wind elemental damage and airborne, so those are like pretty much standard when it comes down to her kit, and continuously applies the zone effect, which we just talked about, while inside the protective zone, removes harmful zones from the affected area. So anything like debuff zones or whatever, or bleeds and whatnot, this could definitely be really strong, especially in places like the Battlefield of Trials. I'm curious to see if this was like would apply to like bosses with bleeds and things like that. Would that also, like, if you're standing in the middle of it, does that also negate that effect? Or like losing HP over time with like bleeds and whatnot, does that also affect that, or is it going to be a different story? Now, the protective zone again lasts for 15 seconds, and when the zone effect is up, it recovers mana per certain duration, applies a shield equal to a percentage of Hanseme's maximum health again. So yeah, overall she seems very strong when it comes down to her kit so far. I love the fact that she's healing the whole team when it comes down to her health recovery, and basically the restoring mana points to the wind attribute teammates is also a great option. I love the debuff, basically cleansing any debuff areas when it comes down to removing harmful zones from her support skill here. That will definitely come in handy. Again, when it comes down to one more thing, oh yeah, the shield that she applies here on her second skill is definitely pretty handy and pretty strong. So she applies a shield effect equal to a percentage of her maximum HP. So far, she's a great support, and she's looking very strong, especially to the wind elemental units, and they'll definitely be worth it. Now, moving on to her ultimate ability here, boy oh boy do we have something really spicy. So if we talk about the ultimate here, it's still the same standard things. First of all, max HP, wind attribute, airborne, but then heals the entire team for a percentage of Hansame's maximum health, applies for the continuation of life effect. Okay, so before we get to the continuation of life, this is the second ability that heals the entire team. So you had her ability, her first ability would heal the entire team, and now this ultimate also heals the entire team for a certain duration. Now reduces the continuation of life, reduces damage received by a percentage. So you're already like getting reduce damage from your opponents, and continuously heals the team for a percentage of Hansame's maximum health per second for a certain number of duration. That is insane in my opinion, because once you pop that ulti, you're getting reduced damage and you're getting healed over time, which definitely comes in handy to help people who are struggling a lot when it comes down to or like they have HP problems, and I think that's honestly great. So like putting this kit, I'm just thinking of Amamiya right now with like getting MP back, getting HP continuously back, dishing out a ton of damage. I think she's going to be absolutely scary when it comes down to her damage numbers and her survivability now, because her ulti now can last way longer, especially with this ultimate and the support skills from Hansame so far. So yeah, moving on to the QTE ability here, the damage of maximum HP. The usage condition obviously is Extreme Evasion, Core Attack, and Ultimates. Now it inflicts wind attribute again and airborne again, but this is where it removes the harmful zones from the affected area. Again, super important. I want to know how this works, because this could have the potential for it to be very broken, and if this is the case, I think she's going to be a top tier support when it comes down to the Battlefield of Trials. She must be like one of the top 3, by far top 2 in my opinion, if this again does mean that she removes those damage over time stages and things like that. This would obviously mean a lot to the current state of the game. Moving on to her weapon and her advancements. Now at passive 1 is A0. I just wanted to clarify that. Passive 6 means A5, and the weapon here. So let's start off with the weapon first. It increases the health by percentage here. When Hansame's skill hits a target, increases the damage they receive by a percentage for a number of seconds. Now this again is super good. Again, a great weapon to buff your teammates damage and to buff your overall party damage. I think that's absolutely insane. So it increases the health by a number percentage, so that means that more heals, more damage from Hansame herself, and then when one of her skills hit, it increases the damage they receive by a certain percentage. So absolutely insane stuff. I think that's going to be a great weapon to be added to your arsenal list. Now, when using Sharp Grass, this is her A1 by the way, Sharp Grass and Field of Fortune or Leaf of Life, I'm guessing those are all her abilities or core attacks, and applies the breath buff to the teammates. Reactivation time is still unknown, but what basically breath does is increases the normal skill damage by a certain percentage, increases normal skill damage for wind attribute teammates by an additional percentage. Okay, so we get both the normal skill damage and skill damage for wind attribute teammates. So here again we see her shining with people like Wu and Amamiya, and I think that definitely does create that that really strong connection between this team, and I think this team is going to be the next #1 team that you guys must be building or focusing on when it comes down to the current state of the game. So yeah, it will increase the normal skill damage for wind attribute teammates by an additional percentage, and the duration of unknown, and it also is so like the maximum number of stacks is unknown again, but it's still gonna definitely be 0. So at A0 you're still having a lot of good buffs, way much more impressive than a certain someone that we're not going to name, Gogan He. But yeah, I think it's definitely a great option to be picking her up so far for at least her A0. Now for her A1, applies the Sharp Breath effect to teammates who use ultimate skills. So Sharp Breath increases the critical hit rate, oh my god, by a percentage, increases critical damage by a percentage, recovers a percentage of the power gauge, and the duration in seconds is unknown. So again, the A1 when it comes down to her is absolutely insane. Now this is super strong, especially if you think about the again, your DPS here. I'm thinking Amiyamere, increasing her critical hit by a percentage, increasing the critical hit damage by a percentage. Insanely good in my opinion, and this only applies to teammates who use ultimate skills. So you're again, basically this is aimed for Amamiya. So yeah guys, pretty much a must-have if you have Amamiya and if you're thinking about buffing her from with like using Hanseme. So please, if you're gonna go pull for her, at least go for an A1. Definitely worth it. Now her A2 is nothing really special. It just increases the health by a certain percentage. The A3 is going to be if the health drops below 1 inside the field, a fortune zone applies the immortality effect for a number of seconds. So she has the immortality effect, guys. Yes, but you have to pull her to A3 to be able to get her so far. I think every advancement so far has been very, very strong, except for maybe like the A2 here. So A3 is when she really becomes super strong, and as you can see here, if your health drops to 1, you basically get the immortality effect for a number of seconds. Upon the end of immortality, additional heals for a maximum number for a percentage of Hanseme's maximum health. This effect activates only once per battle. Okay, so it's a one-time thing. It's a one-time get out of jail free card, and I think still that's very, very impressive. So far, I think she's not been disappointing one bit. I think her kit is overloaded as hell, and I think they're focusing a lot. They're putting their focus on the things that really matter, making her a super strong support. Heals, MP, heals, MP, regen, basically immortality here, making damage, buffing damage numbers when it comes down to people who use their ultimate skills. Mia Mary, obviously, and I think so far she's been very, very strong overall as a unit. Now her A4 is increasing the team wind attribute damage. Again, is super important. Yeah, I think honestly at this point we get the idea that she's going to be super broken, but this increases the team's wind attribute damage by a certain percentage. She's honestly going to be great when it comes down to the win team. She's a great addition to the win team so far. And last but not least, obviously upon tagging out for using Leaf of Life applies the Bond of Nature effect to teammates. That is her A5, by the way. It increases the attack power by a certain percentage, increases the wind attribute damage by another amount again, and the duration is unknown. Okay, final thoughts. Absolutely broken, absolutely insane. If I was to at the current state of like both leaks, to like sum everything up, she's definitely worth your summons a lot more than the other unit that is going to be coming out with her, basically Gogan He. And I think she's definitely much more worthy of getting those spending your tickets on her, especially for the free-to-play players. You guys have a limited number of tickets, and I think it's super duper important to be basically going for at least her A1 here. As you can see, her A0 is good. It's nothing to scoff at, but her A1 where she shines. I mean, honestly, every one of these advancements is really good, except I would say for like the A2 here. So yeah, I would either go for A3, I guess, and stop there as a free-to-play player, or basically just take the A1 depending on your luck, obviously. But definitely worth the tickets, definitely worth the summons. A lot of good stuff when it comes down to her kit overall. The immortality at A3 is insane. The increasing the damage, critical hit rate, and critical hit damage by a certain percentage is also insane. Obviously, giving more damage for the wind attribute teammates is again an insane buff, and you get that for free basically. Not to mention her weapon and look at this, skill hits target, increases the damage they receive by a certain percentage. So again, all you have to do is just hit a target, and they already are taking a lot more damage. Plus she's a wind attribute hunter, which means she's going to be great in things like the Battlefield of Trials that we currently have, Vulcan, because he's now weak to wind as well. She's gonna be an insane unit, guys. In my opinion, definitely worth it, and definitely go for her. But with that being said, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you found this helpful. If you enjoy this kind of content, please don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. But thank you so much for watching. Happy leveling.